Teixeira says government strengthening public institutions to combat corruption. The government is consistently strengthening public institutions to combat corruption, according to Minister of Governance Gilkes. Speaking at an opening of an anti-corruption roundtable event this morning, Teixeira said the fight against corruption is ongoing. This is an 11th of November news article from News Source Guyana. Strengthening our public institution is an ongoing effort to also not only relook at the structure, do they work, are they effective, do we have the right people in the right spot, do we have the right qualifications, do we need to reorganize how we administer in various ministries, statutory bodies and constitutional bodies to make them more effective, and do we need more training? Training is constant, Minister Teixeira reasoned. In the public service, the Ministry of Governance said our ministry has proposed the public servants undergo governance and anti-corruption training as part of a broad public service training program. The Integrity Commission, Minister Teixeira added, also plays a critical role in monitoring public officials in accordance with the Integrity Commission Act. She said the government is turning to technology to root out corruption and ensure efficiency in service. The single window system, she pointed out, is among technologies being used to not only increase efficiency in service, but reduce the possibility of someone paying a bribe to access government services. Now this is a long read, and I'm not going to read all of this. Mr. Teixeira, I do believe that any minister that serves in parliament should serve for a collective of 2 terms and never be allowed to serve again in parliament. Because it seems like once these people are in power for years, these people just seem to get corrupt and more callous. And all they do is come to talk us to death with these ostentatious parading of verbiage, misquandering as governance. Now here's what I'm saying. Mr. Teixeira was right there when Transparency International would have given Guyana a 38% out of 100% on the corruption index. And when Transparency International gave them that 38% on their report out of 100%. And when that occurred, Mr. Teixeira didn't come out and say that we have to do better. You know what they came out and said? That the people are working on perception. So how can Mr. Teixeira, the Minister of Governance, say that they're honestly trying to combat corruption when they won't even accept an external body that is well known across the world for going into country and checking the systems and giving them ratings, and they wouldn't try to fix their system? They would try to berate and try to undermine Transparency International, and then they're going to come to tell us that they are implementing systems. Now just imagine, will you put a cat to watch milk? It's like they're putting themselves to watch their corruption. How can a government actually monitor their own corruption? How can a government do reports on whether they are corrupt or not? And we must believe them. But when the external bodies come into the country and actually conduct their search, and when they deliver the findings, the same government that praises themselves for implementing anti-corruption systems, they try to shame the people and say that the people's perception aren't correct. But they continue to say the country is good. You see how that works? Mr. Teixeira, government of Guyana, we do not want you to assess your government. You can't film the movie and rate your own movie. The critics have to rate your movie. And if Transparency International says that you guys had 39% on the corruption index, then you had 39% on the corruption index, which means that your Integrity Commission, it does not work, or the Integrity Commission is corrupt. This is what this means. Not only did Transparency International rate the government as corrupt, but just recently, the government of Guyana would have had an overall rating of 80 out of 143 countries in the rule of law index, and it's actually down from 78 out of the 143 countries. And what does Mr. Teixeira do? The same Minister of Governance that is right now saying that their government are trying to use technology to combat corruption, she doesn't actually accept it, even though Transparency International said the same thing. Now they got this. Now they have the 80 out of 143 countries in the rule of law index. You know what they do? They come to try to shut it down again. This government want to actually be corrupt, and when outside bodies who will be objective and unbiased actually come and search and investigate and publish their findings, the government want to come and try to say that the people aren't accurate. So only they can monitor their own corruption. You see how that works, brothers and sisters? How does this make sense? Does a defendant in a court case saying that they're innocent, does that exonerate them of a crime? Does a criminal who is facing charges saying with their mouth that they're not guilty of a crime and that the lawyer, the defense that are fighting against them are wrong and that they're using perception, has that ever exonerated a criminal of a crime? This is why I say I can't understand the logical thinking behind many of our ministers of government. How can you want to be corrupt? And when outside bodies come and assess your systems and assess your ministries and find corruption and find the rule of law working against the people, you want to come and try to debunk the people them. Guyanese brothers and sisters, I do believe that it should be a limit of only 2 terms that every parliamentarian, every minister can serve in our government. And after the 2 terms, they have to be removed. And this should be on a world scale, because all of those old presidents in Africa continue to oppress the Africans. Look at what's going on right now with Donald Trump in the United States of America. Look at what's going on. Look at the amount of war and corruption and confusion. These men just bombing boats right now in our Caribbean region. The last article I saw, more than 60 people now would have been killed from those bombings, who many international bodies are claiming are extrajudicial killing and is adverse to international law. This is what happens when anyone sits in power for too long. Think about the vice president. When he first ascended to power back in 98, everybody could have sworn that Bar Jagdeo would have eradicated racism in this country because of the man's vigor, because of his words, and because of his action. The way he acted when he first came. Look at how the vice president, look at what the vice president has become now. A totalitarian, an autocrat at this spot. This man had no problem in the fastest growing economy today, with 45% of his people living at and below the poverty line. With people living with no water in the pipe for weeks on end. People, communities that have been established and developed still haven't gotten water for 20 years. And the same vice president that had so much love and so much plans of inclusion in him, over time when they sit in power, it just corrupts them. I believe a policy should be drafted that permits any member of parliament to only serve 2 terms. And then let them mentor somebody else to come and sit. Because whenever you coming into parliament, you're usually coming from the ground floor with all of the people, and you understand, you can relate, and you can empathize with the people. But as you sit there and you give yourself opportunities and you enrich yourself, many of these ministers become far removed from the actual issues and the struggles and the difficulties that we are facing on the ground. So I ask you this, brothers and sisters, does a criminal organization get to say that it is innocent and it is accepted as the truth? Or do external bodies actually come and do investigation and give objective reviews? Now, the government of Guyana, you can't fool us anymore. We agree with the people that give you 80 out of 143 countries in the rule of law. We agree with Transparency International that give you 39 out of 100 on the corruption index, because there is no way that a country that is running according to the rule of law and does not have a high level of corruption will be the fastest growing economy with a small population, and yet 45% would be living at and below the poverty line. Share your thoughts in the comments, brothers and sisters. This is an Eternity Enterprise presentation. Y'all stay. You know, I would have never thought that in the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, we had a group of people, a body of people that speaks up for people with disability. Because this country, the government, they treat our people with disabilities the worst. This country have no regard, no care no consideration for people with disability, and to come to find that there's actually a council, a body of people that were put in place to actually speak up on behalf of the people with disabilities. It's rich to me. But let's read the article. Disability Council urges commercial banks to put better systems in place to accommodate persons with disabilities. Well, I guess I figure out what this is. This is because Mr. President is saying that in his lead up to his announcement for the cash transfers that the government is going to give, acting like the wealth of the nation belongs to them, and they say when they're going to give us a nibble, he said that he wants all the Guyanese citizens to open bank accounts during the time as he gets ready. So, because the people with disability have to go into the bank, the people in wheelchair, the people that may be blind, the people that may be autistic, deaf, and all of these things have to go into the bank. Now they're actually thinking, like, let's put some system in place at the bank to accommodate our disabled people, which is going to prove to you exactly what I've been saying. The government treats these people bad. They outcast the people with disability. They don't even give no kind of assistance to the parents of people that would have been born, children that would have been born with disability. And mind you, brothers and sisters in the diaspora, the public assistance, it's only $120 a month. In this country that have one of the highest cost of livings in South America, they give the disabled $120 a month, 22,000 Guyana dollars a month. And if the person's parents work and people in the household work, many a times they try to take them off of disability. The government of Guyana treats our people with disability like outcasts, like they're not Guyanese, and like if they do not have a responsibility and a mandate to take care of them. All of the buildings, the schools and all of these things have no ramps for people that may have back problems and may not be able to walk. They don't even have ramps. They've built no inclined planes. Maybe at the new hospital on Mackenzie they built one. But to get upstairs they have none. And many times the elevator doesn't work. At most of the banks that have upstairs rooms, there are no inclined planes there for the people in wheelchair to ascend to go and handle their own business. Most of the roads, these substandard roads that the government is building, when they build the substandard drains to actually complement the substandard roads, they are big, broad, abrasive drains, and most of the times they do not build any platform over those drains, so our people with disability that may be in wheelchair or have other disabilities that they're facing can get over those gutters. So they make life as hard as possible for our people with disability in Guyana. So I would have never thought there was a council that speaks up on behalf of these people with disability. In the United States and Canada and other places with smaller gross domestic product earnings per capita, these people take care of the people with disability. They give money to the parents to make sure that everything under the sun that these people need is taken care of. They have buses and transportation that collect their people with disability and handlers that handle them. And I got this information directly from people in other countries and in this country that work directly with people with disabilities. So it's rich to me that with all of the substandard infrastructure that have not been built to accommodate our people with disability, now the council speaking because the government want to look good, because they want to say that they make sure the people with disability got bank accounts. In the fastest growing economy in 2025, when they've run the country for 28 out of the past 33 years, I'm telling you the PPP is a visionless government. They're selfish, they're cruel, they're despots, they're authoritarians, totalitarians that cares nothing about Guyanese. Now just imagine if they're treating the people with disabilities the way they do. How do they treat regular Guyanese? Well, you guys know some of the smallest salaries in South America, some of the smallest in the Caribbean and in the Latin Americas. Even though we have one of the smallest population, even though we are within the 5 smallest countries in South America, we have the highest gross domestic product earning per capita, yet we are paid some of the lowest salaries in South America, some of the lowest in the Caribbean. Our Caribbean brother and sister countries paying higher. Some of them only have sand and beach. But I wouldn't expect anything better from this government with everything that I've seen so far. But let me read a little bit of the report, just cause. The Guyana Council of Organizations for Persons with Disability, GCOPD, is urging commercial banks to eliminate discriminatory practices against persons living with disabilities in light of the recent announcement of the reform for the banking sector. The government treats people with disability with the same discrimination because they don't give them what they're supposed to get. It's mandated that government's supposed to take care of these people. Y'all heard the money that they give to these people. This is bold dash. This is ostentatious parading of verbiage, misquandering as wisdom, leadership, and care and consideration. In a statement, the council said it fully supports the initiative to reform the banking sector as announced by the president and hopes the bank will ensure that persons with disabilities are accommodated for. Today, in 2025, PPP ran this country from 2015 to 2020. Remember that. In a country that have bauxite, silica sand, stone, timber, green art, purple art, Simarupa, Walaba, diamond, emerald, topaz, bauxite, that they made a 214% increase. They're just giving everything away. Give everything away to the internationals. On top of that, we got rich soil, preferred soil for farming, and yet still, now the government of Guyana urging the banks to ensure that persons with disability are accommodated. They cares nothing about the people. They cares nothing about Guyanese. This is why you see the selling the country the way they are. According to the organization, for too long, persons who are visually impaired have been told that they cannot open a personal bank account because of their blindness or acquire an ATM card due to their disability. Government fault. If we had a government with vision, this would have been fixed already. Many of the commercial banks justify the position by claiming that they are following their policies. The Disability Council said it must be highlighted that there is empirical evidence to support such archaic and discriminatory policy. This is what has always been under the PPP, brothers and sisters. They've never catered for people with disability, but because you see now, the PPP, remember they're getting rich. Right now, there's so much money coming into this country because of our $1 trillion oil sector that the PPP are getting exposed. Since institutions and communities that they've been neglecting, it's starting to shine through, and they're still neglecting many. And now they're so desperate, they're trying to do all of these little things, you know, to spread a narrative, to give the illusion of inclusion to our brothers and sisters in the diaspora. More needs to be done for our people with disability. Every person born with disability should have the opportunity to enjoy the country of their birth to the fullest of their potential based on their ability to do so. And the government that have run this country from 92 to 2015 have not made provision for it. And from 2020 to 2025, they've done the same, even though we had the fastest growing economy with the highest gross domestic earning per capita. We need a new disability council. And we need for the government to actually, when you're planning, plan with the people in mind. Pay the people fair salary and give our people with disability at least $700 per month, $140,000, because the gross domestic product earning per capita says that the money that belongs to you, belongs to me, belongs to us on the same level. Take care of your people, government, and stop with your propaganda and your scripting of narratives. This is an Eternity Enterprise presentation. Y'all stay